Hi book lovers, welcome back to my channel. It is time for Lacey's Choice Awards 2023. It's the second annual Lacey's Romance Choice Awards. I started this last year after seeing the not so great picks that Goodreads chose for the romance category, so I'm doing it again. I recently put up a bunch of polls for the best romances of 2023. I curated like a bunch of different books based on like trope or subgenre, and the people voted on their favorites of the year. I have the results to share today. So these are like the top 18 books of 2023, and like I said, the books that people voted for were books that I curated. These are based on like popularity, number of ratings, and also my personal taste and what I think should belong in that category. I did try to limit the number of books in each category though, so people could vote for their one favorite out of the 4 to 7 romances there. I did change up the categories this year though. They are a little different from 2022 just because the trends were different this year. There were a ton of small town romances, a ton of cowboy romances, and hockey was such a big thing this year. Like last year, I only had a general sports romance, but I had to separate hockey and sports this year. Anyway, let's get into it. Here are the results that I have. Here are the winners of Lacey's Romance Choice Awards for 2023. Starting off with the small town romances, these are the picks that I chose. Ashton Parker Doesn't Fail by Ashley Herring Blake, Whispers of You by Catherine Cowles, Forbidden Hearts by Corinne Michaels, Jasper Vale by Dabney Perry, Into the Tide by Laura Pavlov, Runaway Love by Melanie Harlow, and Things We Hide from the Light by Lucy Score. Out of all these 7 books, I've only read 3 of them. I read Ashton Parker, Whispers of You, and Things We Hide from the Light, and my personal vote would have been for Things We Hide from the Light just because I love Lucy. But the other 2 were also really, really good small town romances. Like, I enjoyed all the books in this category, but the winner at 22.6% is Things We Hide from the Light by Lucy Score. I'm not too surprised by this just because the Knock 'Em Out series is humongous, but Whispers of You was a really close second at 22.4%, so it got second place by 0.2%, and then Jasper Vale was 3rd place. For the best cowboy romances, I had Reckless by Elsie Silver, Rewrite Our Story by Kat Singleton, Done and Dusted by Lila Sage, and Big Nick Energy by Morgan Elizabeth. I'm sure no one is surprised that Reckless by Elsie Silver came out the winner at 71.6%. Done and Dusted was 2nd place, but there was like a huge gap between 1st and 2nd place. The only one that I have read out of the 4 books was Done and Dusted, but I didn't really love that. I probably would have loved Reckless more if I read it, but I'm still only 3 books in to the Chestnut Spring series. This cowboy category was not a thing that I had in last year's awards, but cowboys are just so big this year. People are loving the small town cowboys. I don't know if I would say cowboys are my personal favorite thing. I mean, I don't really gravitate towards them. If a book that I'm reading just happens to have a rancher or a cowboy hero, that's great, but I'm not really gonna seek them out. The next category is for Best Second Chance Romance. This is my jam. There were so many good ones from this year to feature, but I had to narrow it down to the top 7. So I have King of Greed by Anna Huang, Full Moon Over Freedom by Angelina M. Lopez, Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune, The Broken Vows by Katarina Mara, Technically Yours by Denise Williams, Forget Me Not by Julie Soto, and Final Offer by Lauren Asher. I personally wasn't too sure which one would win out of these. It was definitely going to be between King of Greed and Final Offer. My personal pick out of all of these would probably be Final Offer, but I did really love Full Moon Over Freedom and The Broken Vows too. I just finished up King of Greed, which I did like. I'm not sure when I'm putting that vlog up, if it's going before or after this video for the 12 days of Bookmas, but I'll have my thoughts on that book up soon. The one book that I did not like though was Meet Me at the Lake, but it's such a big book that I can't not include it. But the winner of the best second chance romance of 2023 is King of Greed at 35.4%. A final offer was a fairly close-ish second at 25.5%, and then Forget Me Not was also a close third. I know a lot of people loved Forget Me Not. I was kind of surprised it wasn't on the Goodreads Choice Awards, but yes, King of Greed won this round. Next is the best spicy romance category. I have Click by Brianna Michaels, Cruel Seduction by Katie Robert, Keep Her Safe by QB Tyler, Highest Bidder by Sarah Kate, and Not So Lucky by Trilina Pucci. My favorite of these would be Keep Her Safe by QB Tyler, but I did fall in love with Brianna Michaels this year, so I had to include her. But the winner of the best spicy romance is Highest Bidder at 40.5%. A lot of people love Sarah Kate, people love the Salacious Players Club series, so I'm not too surprised by this one. I've still only read the first book in that series, so I can't say how good the rest of the series is, but at least Keep Her Safe was number 2 here. And then for the best hockey romance, there were so many to pick from, but I had to narrow it down. I went with most of the biggest ones of this year. Some of the other ones that you don't see included are put into different categories. I have Goal by Alexandria House, Shut Out by Avery Keeland, Collide by Bal Cabra, Unravel Me by Becca Mack, Pucking Around by Emily Rath, Double Pucked by Lauren Blakely, and Behind the Net by Stephanie Archer. I loved Pucking Around and Goal so much, but if I had to pick my favorite between the two, probably go to Pucking Around. But they're both so good. If you haven't read them yet, highly recommend them. But I haven't read the other ones, even though they are so huge. They all have like tens of thousands of ratings. I actually had never even heard of Collide until I was looking for hockey romances to include. I've literally never seen it or heard of it, but it's a popular viral hockey romance, apparently. I'm still not on BookTok, so I don't know what goes on over there. But the winner of the best hockey romance of 2023 is Shut Out by Avery Keelan. This one won at 24.7%. Although this entire category is probably the closest one out of all the categories. Unravel Me was second place at 18%, and Pucking Around was third place at 17.1%. So it was fairly close, but Shut Out is the winner. I still need to read this one, although I wasn't really all that impressed by Offside, so I'm not like in a hurry to read Shut Out. Unravel Me by Becca Mack. This is also another book that I need to read. Like, Becca Mack in general, I haven't read yet, but I know she blew up huge this year. And then for the general sports romance category, these are all the sports romances that are not hockey related. There were still a lot of good ones, a lot of big ones from this year. For this category, I put Saving Six by Chloe Walsh. This is a rugby romance. Coach by Devney Perry. Football, The Long Game by Elena Armas. Soccer, For the Fans by Nyla Kay. Football again. The Right Move by Liz Tomforde, which is basketball. And then Caught Up by Liz Tomforde, which is baseball. I know I put 2 Liz Tomforde books, but they were both so big this year, so I could not have both of them. I was gonna put The Right Move in the fake dating category, but there were also a ton of fake dating romances this year, so it wouldn't fit. And I also personally just wanted to see between the 2 Liz Tomforde books which one people liked more. The winner of the best sports romance is The Right Move. This one won at 36.4%, and Caught Up was second place. It was 20.6%. So it wasn't like a huge gap between them, but there definitely was still a gap. Third place was Coach at 15.8%. My favorite out of all of these, like my personal pick, would also have been The Right Move. I've only read that one and The Long Game, although I'm currently reading Caught Up. So we'll see if I actually end up liking Caught Up more than The Right Move. Probably not, just because of how much I loved The Right Move, but The Right Move would have been my favorite sports romance as well. Next is the best enemies to lovers romance. I put 6 books in this category. I have Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood, In the Gray by B.B. Reed, You with a View by Jessica Joyce, Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher, Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score, and Taste Like Shakar by Nisha Sharma. There were a lot of good enemies to lovers romances in 2023, but my favorite out of all of these would be Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. I adored that one so much, but I was also surprised You with a View. I didn't realize that there were so many people who read it. It has like over 20,000 ratings, and I'm pretty sure it's a debut, so that did really well for a first book. But the best enemies to lovers romance, the winner according to the votes, is Love Theoretically with 35.7% of the votes. Second and third place were pretty neck and neck together. Things We Left Behind was at 22.7% and Love Redesigned was 21.4%. And since I did enemies to lovers, I had to do the friends to lovers category, of course. So the books that I put in the best friends to lovers romances are X's and O's by Amy Lee, Powerless by Elsie Silver, Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young, You Again by Kate Goldbeck, and A Long Time Coming by Meghan Quinn. I've read all of these except for Out on a Limb. I mean, Friends to Lovers is my second favorite trope. I do love it more than Enemies to Lovers. My favorite of these would be honestly a tie between Powerless and A Long Time Coming. A Long Time Coming was pure fun and fluff. I did like X's and O's too, don't get me wrong. You Again, I don't need to talk about right now. I will eventually get to reading Out on a Limb because I know a lot of people love that one. The winner of the best friends to lovers romance is Powerless at 42.5%. A Long Time Coming was second place, and then third place is Out on a Limb. Those two actually got the same number of votes, so clearly people love both, but Powerless is the winner. For the best historical romance, I have 6 books from this year. The Duke Gets Desperate by Diana Quincy, Not That Duke by Eloisa James, The Duke Gets Even by Joanna Shoup, The Secret Lives of Country Gentlemen by KJ Charles, Knockout by Sarah MacLean, and An Earl to Remember by Stacey Reed. Lots of Dukes this year, but I've only read 2 out of the new historical romances. I don't really read as many new historical romances these days, unfortunately, but my favorite would definitely be An Earl to Remember. That book was so much fun. It's overboard, but historical romance, and it's got amnesia and everything. So good. The winner of the best historical romance of 2023 is The Duke Gets Even at 23.6% of the votes. This one was pretty close too, like the top 3 were all in the low 20s percentage, like Knockout was second place and An Earl to Remember was third place. For the best fantasy romance, this is another subgenre that was pretty big this year. I mean, it was big enough that Goodreads made it into its own romantasy category, which is pretty annoying because fantasy romances are still fantasy books. Just because it has romance doesn't make it lesser, but also people love the romances in them, so I don't know why they had to separate this category. But anyway, the best fantasy romances of 2023, I have The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King by Carissa Broadbent, Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer, The Coven by Harper L. Woods, Fall of Ruin and Wrath by Jennifer L. Armentrout, Bewitched by Laura Thalassa, and Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, arguably the biggest release of 2023. So probably to nobody's surprise, Fourth Wing did win at 54.3%. So over half of the people voted for Fourth Wing, but Carissa Broadbent was second place and Assistant to the Villain was third place. I read all of these except for The Coven and The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. I read the first book in the Crowns of Nyaxia series, but I haven't read the sequel. I'm also not a huge fan of Harper L. Woods fantasy romances, but my favorite of the ones that I've read would be Fall of Ruin and Wrath, but I also loved Bewitched too. And Fourth Wing was great, but not my favorite. I also had a best paranormal romance slash sci-fi romance category. The books here are The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston, Soul of a Witch by Harley LaRue, Lassiter by J.R. Ward, My Roommate is a Vampire by Jana Levine, Hoarded by the Dragon by Lillian Lark, Resonant Surge by Nalini Singh, and A Soul to Touch by Opal Rain. I tried to get a good mix of like paranormals and aliens and monster romances. Surprisingly, monster romances weren't as popular as it was last year, so I don't have as many to put here. The best paranormal or sci-fi romance in this category is The 7-Year Slip. This one won at 32.8%. My favorite out of all of these, one that I loved so much that took me by surprise, was My Roommate is a Vampire. Like, this one has a terrible rating on Goodreads, but I freaking loved it. It was so cute. Like I said, I'm kind of surprised by how much I enjoyed it, but I did love The 7-Year Slip too, and I also loved Resonant Surge. I still need to read the new Harley LaRue through, and the new JR Ward. I'm so behind on the Black Dagger Brotherhood series now. For the best forbidden romance, I have 5 books in this category. I have The Coldest Winter by Brittany Cherry, The Summer We Fell by Elizabeth O'Rourke, Caution to the Wind by Giana Darling, The Worst Kept Secret by QB Tyler, and Devious Obsession by S. Massery. The only authors that I haven't read yet are Elizabeth O'Rourke and S. Massery, but I really want to read them. My personal favorite of these would be Caution to the Wind. I adored it so much. It's such a good age gap, falling for your best friend's stepdad romance, and it did end up being the winner. Caution to the Wind got 30.6% of the votes. Devious Obsession was at 22%, and The Summer We Fell 18.5%. I know a lot of people are super obsessed with the whole S. Massery hockey, dark hockey romance series. I almost put it in the hockey romance category, but it was just too full there, so I had to put it in this forbidden romance category. And then for the best arranged marriage or marriage of convenience romance, I kind of lumped these two together. There were a lot of good romances with this trope this year. So I have The Unwanted Marriage by Katarina Mara, Liars Like Us by J.T. Geisinger, One and Only by Carla Sorensen, My Dark Romeo by Parkras Huntington and L.J. Shen, Between Commitment and Betrayal by Shane Rose, The Sacrifice by Chantal Tessier, and Unfortunately Yours by Tessa Bailey. If you've watched any of my videos this year, you probably already know how much I love Liars Like Us. It's one of my favorite reads of this year. It's so good. So obviously that's my favorite one out of all of these, but I did really love My Dark Romeo too. The winner of this category, I was kind of surprised by the one that won. It's Unfortunately Yours by Tessa Bailey. This one had 20.4% of the votes. My Dark Romeo was second place at 18%, and The Unwanted Marriage was third place at 17.7%. So this was also a close one. I mean, I liked Unfortunately Yours, but it wasn't my favorite, and I am a little sad that my favorite didn't win, but it's okay. For the best contemporary romance, I have King of Pride by Anna Huang, The True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren, Hello Stranger by Catherine Center, The Neighbor Favor by Christina Forrest, Business or Pleasure by Rachel Lynn Solomon, The Art of Scandal by Regina Black, and Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey. I actually really liked all of the books that I read from this contemporary romance category. My two favorites are kind of a tie between King of Pride and Hello Stranger. I love Anna and I love Catherine, so I don't know if I can choose between the two. The winner of this category with almost half of the votes is King of Pride by Anna Huang. This one had 47.6% of the votes, and there was a pretty big gap between first place and second place. Like, second place is Secretly Yours at 15.9%. So King of Pride won by over 30%, which is not a surprise. Kai and Isabella were fantastic. Kai is my man. I also have a dark romance category, although I will say I haven't read as many dark romances this year as I usually do, I feel like, but there were some good ones this year. I have Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver, The Pucking Wrong Number by C.R. Jane, Because I'm Yours by Claire Contreras, That Sick Love by Jessie Hall, Blood of My Monster by Rena Kent, Nero by S.J. Tilley, and Dante by Sadie Kincaid. My winner out of all of these would be Blood of My Monster by Rena Kent. This series was fantastic. It's this dark Russian mafia retelling of Mulan, and it was so good. It's like the only series of Rena Kent that I've actually enjoyed. And the winner of the best dark romance of 2023 is a book that went pretty viral this year. It's Butcher and Blackbird. This one won at 29.8%. Nero second place, 21.5%, and Blood of My Monster got third place, 17.8%. I have been so intrigued by Butcher and Blackbird since it first came out, since everyone was talking about it. I think most people compare it to the Mindfuck series by S.T. Abbey, which was my favorite dark romance that I read this year, but it's an older release, so couldn't put it in these awards. But I see a lot of people comparing the two series, so I definitely need to read this book. It is the first book in a trilogy though, so I'm not sure if I should wait until the series is over or not. Next I have the best new adult romance, new adult / college romance. A lot of these do overlap with the hockey romance category, but again, hockey was just too full. I included The Graham Effect by Elle Kennedy, Wildfire by Hannah Grace, God of Ruin by Rena Kent, Weakside by S.J. Silvis, and Iced Out by Veronica Eden. I've only read two of them, The Graham Effect and Wildfire, and while I did really enjoy Wildfire, The Graham Effect was incredible. I adored it so much. It was so nice to be back in the off-campus world. So that one is my winner, and it's also the winner of this category. The Graham Effect won 40.4% of the votes. Iced Out was second place and Wildfire was third place. I have heard pretty good things about Iced Out and also Weakside. They're both hockey college romances that I do need to get to. There's just so many hockey romances that came out this year. And then for another huge trope of 2023, I had to include the fake dating category. We also had a lot of good ones coming out this year. It seemed like every month there was a new fake dating book coming out. But the best ones that I had to include were Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, Iris Kelly Doesn't Date by Ashley Herring Blake, Hopeless by Elsie Silver, Happy Place by Emily Henry, The Love Wager by Lynn Painter, Right Man, Right Time by Meghan Quinn, and Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. These are all huge releases of this year. My favorite though, it's gotta be Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I had so much fun with that one. It's a fake dating romance with two doctors and they were so precious. I did also really like Hopeless. I also did read Happy Place and Practice Makes Perfect, but those were just okay for me. The winner of the best fake dating romance of this year is Hopeless by Elsie Silver. This one won at 26.1%. Second place was fairly close though, 24.6% goes to Yours Truly. I was kind of surprised that Yours Truly didn't win here, but then again, Elsie is just humongous this year. I was also surprised Emily Henry didn't get more votes, but third place did go to Meghan Quinn, Right Man, Right Time. And the final category of Lacey's Romance Choice Awards is the holiday category. These are the best holiday romances of 2023. There were so many of them, and I've been going through all of them this holiday season. In this category, I put Snowed In for Christmas by Jacqueline Snow, A Holly Jolly Ever After by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone, Faking Christmas by Carrie Winfrey, Emergency Contact by Lauren Lane and Anthony Ladon, Clause and Effect by Piper Rain, Wreck the Halls by Tessa Bailey, and Three Holidays and a Wedding by Uzma Jalaluddin, which was also co-written with Marissa Stapley. I'm actually currently reading Snowed In for Christmas, and I've read all the other ones except for Clause and Effect. My favorite is kind of a tie between A Holly Jolly Ever After and Faking Christmas. They were both so freaking cute. Faking Christmas though definitely has more of the Christmas holiday vibes though, so I'll probably picked that one as my favorite, but the winner ended up being Wreck the Halls, which had 33.2%. A Holly Jolly Ever After was second place at 17.6%, and then Snowed In for Christmas was third place. I'm not too surprised by this one, just because Tessa is definitely the biggest author out of all of these books, and I did like it, but it's definitely not my favorite out of all of these. Those were the winners, the best romance books of 2023 according to my followers. Let me know which ones you agree on or which books that you personally would have voted for. To recap, we have Things We Hide from the Light, Reckless by Elsie Silver, King of Greed by Anna Huang, Love Theoretically by Allie Hazelwood, Shut Out by Avery Keelan, The Right Move by Liz Tomforde, Powerless by Elsie Silver, Unfortunately Yours by Tessa Bailey, Hopeless by Elsie Silver, The Graham Effect by Elle Kennedy, Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston, Caution to the Wind by Giana Darling, Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver, The Duke Gets Even by Joanna Shoup, King of Pride by Anna Huang, Highest Bidder by Sarah Kate, and Wreck the Halls by Tessa Bailey. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!